All right, guys. Welcome in to Rover Sports, the program, the show. Hope you guys are having a really decent and nice Friday tonight. So we are talking about the New York Giants today on the show, and I know I haven't been back for a video in a while. So it just feels good to try to get back to communicating with y'all tonight. So this is going to sound a lot. This is really going to sound kind of not like pathetic that I'm uttering this over the airwaves, but it is going to sound like I'm completely changing course on everything that I've been saying for the Giants to do. And it's kind of more of a think out loud segment. This is kind of thinking about reality. It's taking into account data. It's taking into account other information that I have viewed from other people's pages on social media and on a lot of other mediums. It's basically kind of changing my viewpoints that I've been saying about the New York Giants head coach and about Pat Shurmur. So for, I'd say, about 3 to 4 weeks, in all honesty, I was all gung-ho on firing Pat Shurmur. I think it started maybe the Arizona Cardinals game, even the Patriots game, the way that the team started the season. The Minnesota game was a very ugly game from start to finish. Kirk Cousins tore us apart in that game. So when Kirk Cousins absolutely tore us apart, and then the Patriots game happened, and then the Cardinals game happened where the Giants, that was kind of a winnable game, the Arizona Cardinals, and we came out there and we put on a dud in the first half when we had 11 days to prepare. And Pat Shurmur is not the dream guy. He's not, to me, like a John Gruden. He's not, to me, what Kellen Moore could have been. He doesn't have the enthusiasm of like a Pete Carroll or even a Mike Tomlin or somebody that you just want to ride or die with as a coach. He doesn't even have like that Chris Richard or Rex Ryan intensity. He has that bland expression on the sidelines. So for a while now, I've been thinking and I've been saying, and I've actually been rooting openly against the Giants to lose these football games. I rooted against them against the Cardinals, and again, the Giants are my team. I rooted against them when they played the Cardinals, against the Cowboys. It didn't hurt at all to see the Cowboys beat the Giants and to see Shermer boot off the field. None of that really bothered me. But over the bye week, I've had some time to kind of contemplate on where I stand with the organization and realistically where the Giants and where the organization is today. And this is what is causing me to change course. One is that if the Giants were to fire Pat Shurmur at the end of the year, that would mean that one of my favorite GMs in the NFL, a guy that I've been defending since the day he stepped foot with the Giants, Dave Gettleman, that means that if Shermer gets fired, Dave Gettleman likely is fired as well. And I think that Gettleman has been doing a great job here. So first of all, I'm contradicting myself when I'm rooting against the Giants and I'm arguing that this coach sucks and that this talent isn't there. I'm rooting against guys that I loved that Gettleman picked. I'm rooting against Dexter Lawrence. I'm rooting against DeAndre Baker. Rooting against the progress of our young core. And if the Giants can go out this week, and even if it fucks up our draft position, if the Giants can go out and defeat the Chicago Bears this week in Soldier Field against a Mitchell Trubisky-led offense that has been one of the worst offenses in the league, and really Pat Shurmur if the Giants can go out and get a much-needed win against Chicago, it will validate the direction of the young core. I mean, last year, the game against Washington was a great win for the Giants, but we still had to clean up Odell Beckham, get him out of here, Landon Collins and Olivier Vernon. So the game against the Redskins was great. Beating the Bears was a nice way to end the year. And then even against Dallas, the way they fought, or against the Indianapolis Colts, like almost winning against the Colts the way the Giants beat the 49ers and the Bucs. So they were able to rack up some wins, get to about 6-10. This Giants team this year, theoretically, they might be able to upset one of these teams. Now, I don't like the way the Giants have been playing, but I'm willing. Here's the point about Shermer. I've been gung-ho on getting rid of Pat Shurmur. Realistically, it's probably not going to happen. And if it happens, that means that Dave Gettleman and this plan is halted as well. I want Dave Gettleman to succeed. I want guys like DeAndre Baker to succeed. I want him to start playing better. I want Dexter Lawrence to play better. I'm really excited, actually, about Leonard Williams. Like, I want him to go out after Trubisky. So I'm prideful in the direction that Gettleman has built this team. And you know what else has really helped me in terms of my argument to keep Pat Shurmur? It's how much of an asshole Ben McAdoo was. It's how much of an asshole Adam Gase is. Because not only are those guys the shittiest of coaches, and people will argue that Ben McAdoo was only let go because he butchered an Eli Manning situation with a Geno Smith. That was the icing on the cake. That was not even at all part of the situation. Ben McAdoo was a shitty hire from the get-go. The only reason the Giants were doing well, you could argue, is because of Spags and because of an elite defensive free agency class where they all stayed healthy. And the Giants, over their 6-game winning streak, their offense absolutely sucked. And people can all they could say, well, McAdoo wanted Mahomes and it was all Eli's fault that the offense sucked. But that would also be a lazy argument. The offensive play calling with McAdoo, I don't want to go back too long, but they beat the Browns, they beat the Bengals, they beat the Ravens barely, they beat Case Keenum. They beat the Eagles and Carson Wentz when he was just a rookie. I mean, those teams, they didn't beat any playoff teams. They had the easiest strength of schedule. Beat the Lions, beat a Cowboys team that I'm not even sure actually that the Cowboys might have made the playoffs that year. Yeah, they did. Okay. But again, it was Prescott's rookie year. So McAdoo was just a shitty coach, but he was just a jerk. And Adam Gase, I mean, suspending fining Quincy Enunwa because of Veterans Day. He's out seeing his wife who's in the armed forces, or him not talking to Kelechi Osemele. I mean, replacing a new head coach every single year. And also, here's the point. If Shermer gets fired, are you going to trust John Mara to make a better choice? I mean, he might bring in a stale and old Mike McCarthy because he's not exactly, as a GM, he's not exactly the most creative or rebellious guy in the world. He's not going to bring in a Joe Brady from LSU, who's a brilliant young guy. He wouldn't have signed a Shanahan or a McVay, two of the better coaches in the game, because they've only been defensive coordinators. He's going to bring in an older head coaching guy. He's going to bring in a Mike McCarthy. He's just going to bring in like a Ron Rivera. He's going to bring in another retread, older, safe guy. He'll probably bring back Marvin Lewis or something. That's who he'll interview. He'll interview Caldwell. He's not going to just bring in a Kellen Moore who's 30 years old. That's not how Merritt does business. So you look at it this way, okay? You had Ben McAdoo was a complete jerk, and rightfully so, the fan base absolutely hated his guts. Pat Shurmur, I don't love Pat Shurmur. I actually met Pat Shurmur a couple of times, and I have opinions about him as a coach, but as a human being, he's really a good guy. Totally normal, good guy. Now, sometimes he can get frustrated with the media. He's not exactly like he's not exactly the coach that's like going to light up a room or make jokes or, make an attempt to, really be a flattering personality. Like, he's not going to make jokes. He's not going to be fun. He's not going to smile and do those sort of things. So, that the equity there, or how he is on the sidelines with even motivating a team, or there's just some coaches that were really fun, like Rex, like John Gruden, that are fiery coaches. Even Cowher back in the day was fiery. Tony Dungy was a guy that was just salt of the earth, and Shermer is not at all a mean guy. But the point is, he's not perfect, right? His play calling isn't dazzling. He doesn't seem that upset when they lose games. They're kind of going through the motions. The press conferences, he doesn't really give you a lot as a fan. And the way this team has come out gives you a lot to be desired. But the point is, if you end up firing Pat Shurmur, then that would mean that Gettleman gets fired. That would mean the young core all sucks. That would mean that Daniel Jones continues to suck this year. And if the Giants want to have any chance to be good next year, I really think that they have to adapt a work ethic, and they have to adapt good tendencies to play football in this league and to win. And we've been losing for so long that it might just be nice to see the Giants win some games. And instead of being like the boy who cried wolf, or not the boy who cried wolf, that's not a great analogy. That means that you're constantly like lying about something. But instead of being like spoiled maybe about a coach, instead of being spoiled, like I want Kellen Moore, I want Joe Brady, I want a good offensive mind, I want the perfect Belichickian guy, I want somebody like a Bill Parcells or a Coughlin, I want a legend as the next head coach, I want a Matt Rule from Baylor, I want the Giants to go out and hire like a Matt Rule, and maybe that could happen, but for John Mara, I don't believe it's going to happen with this ownership. We're not controlling this thing, and the point is that Gettleman is here, and if Gettleman succeeds, we all win. And it comes to the point where Shermer's probably going to be back next year. And then it comes to a point of let's seeing the young core develop, because a lot of this has to do with Mara. Like, I don't really think that Mara's out there seeking the next head coach. And this Giants game versus Chicago, put it this way, I'm now reopening my stance to Pat Shurmur. And Pat Shurmur, to me, can easily have another chance to come back. Because, again, if Shermer gets fired, you're then going to end up hiring a Marvin Lewis. You're going to hire a McCarthy, somebody with coaching experience that has been fired. And you're just going to be back, and you'll probably end up then hating the next guy, and the cycle might never end, and you'll always think the grass is greener. Or if you take a Kellen Moore, or you take a Joe Brady, or a Chris Richard, whose defenses have been failing lately, and you take another risk on another coach, then if that coach fails, you might be like, damn, we're just fucked as an organization. Then you might be like, we're just cursed, or, oh man, the Giants, like, nobody could have succeeded here. Then you'd look back at Shermer and say, it wasn't Shermer's fault anyway. We're just hopeless as a group. So I look at Pat. He's not an asshole like Adam Gase or those other guys. He's a decent personality. The players seem to like him, which is all right. I'm not arguing now or changing course that he is somehow this really good coach, but I'm pointing to now is that I'm going to start watching the game, and I'm changing my approach to cheering for the Giants again, and I'm going to cheer for them because I need Gettleman to stay, and I've been arguing, and I love Dave Gettleman, and again, Shermer and Gettleman are tied together, and I'm also cheering for the Giants because it's important for Leonard Williams for this defense to somehow get a taste of winning and playing good football. So that's kind of what I'm really hoping to see these next 4 games or 6 games is I'm hoping for guys like Leonard to really ball out. I'm hoping for Dexter Lawrence to ball the F out. I'm hoping for Dalvin Tomlinson to continue. I'm really hoping for Baker to somehow to figure it out and play decent football. I'm hoping for the Giants to get after Trubisky, get some 3-and-outs, really play good football, because, again, if you're bringing in a new coach again, that's embarrassing for a franchise. And once again, like, I can't have everything. I can't act like a spoiled little girl and want everything. I don't like Shermer. I want Chase Young. I want to lose every game. I want Kellen Moore. Not everything's going to line up. And then if you're playing for the draft, I also learned a lesson looking at Tua. Like, for years and years, I was like, Tua's the dream quarterback. Tua's the messiah for Giants football. Tua's going to come in here, and let's wait and tank for Tua. But guess what happens? Life happens. Guys get injured. Guys get into trouble. Things don't always shake out perfectly. Like, I wanted Nick Saban to come over and take over the Giants after he won the national championship, and that never happened. So I'm kind of living more in a realistic world that Shermer's going to be back next year, and that we need these young kids to grow if we're going to be a playoff team. And instead of worrying so much about the head coach, look around the NFL, and there's a lot of mediocre head coaches like Mike Zimmer. LaFleur's a decent head coach. Matt Nagy is out there. Patricia, Dan Quinn, the guy, what's his name, out in Tampa Bay. Bruce Arians is a pretty good coach. Brian Flores, Tomlin, Freddie Kitchens. You know, you could be like the Cleveland Browns and just firing coaches all the time. So I have to be more grateful as a person. I have to kind of respect what the Giants have in Pat Shurmur, even though it's been a tough time. This is a young team. And I'm going to put a little bit of faith in the guys that Gettleman has drafted, like a Michael Thomas, Dexter Lawrence, like Tomlinson coming in to help for leadership. The guys that Gettleman has acquired, like Ogletree. And it's up to the players now. And I really like Shermer turning off the music. I think the Giants can get after Mitchell Trubisky. And the point is, you go to Chicago, and really the first quarter is going to dictate everything. You can't be in a 14-0 hole. You can't have Daniel Jones fumbling. You can't give up long touchdowns and long developing drives. And you can't let Allen Robinson and Trubisky get into a rhythm. You got to get off the field. Don't commit penalties, no holding penalties, no defensive pass interferences. Just play a good, clean brand of football early on. You have the bye week, get accustomed fast to the game, and start off and get out of the gate in a decent model and have a chance late in the game to win the game or salt away the game. Time for Saquon Barkley to start winning football games for the Giants. We've been very overprotective of everything about his future. It's time for him to start paying dividends. He is, as a running back, year 2 is part of the prime of your career in this position, in this violent game, which is the NFL at the running back position. So this video is kind of saying it's time for me to stop being a spoiled little bee, and it's time for me to start cheering for the Giants to win games again. F the draft, who gives a shit, Chase Young, who the heck knows? He's a great player, but we're not going to catch the Redskins, and if we go 2-14, nobody wins. So Chase Young, yeah, it'd be great to have him, but maybe Chase Young ends up getting injured his whole career. He's still a draft pick. He's still a young kid, okay? Maybe AJ Espinoza is not that great. And the Giants can always move up and get talent. But guess what? If this young core gets to winning games, this can springboard in the next year, because we have Baker, Julian Love, Ballantyne on this defense. So it's time to cheer for the young kids to play well. Dexter, Dalvin, Lorenzo Carter, Marcus Golden on the edge. See if Julian Love can make an impact at safety, really see if he can start playing a little bit. This offensive line, I think Jalapeno is coming back. It's time for Hernandez to kick it in the gear a little bit. It's time for Nate Solder to start playing like he's getting paid. And it's time to just see some tangible success of the Gettleman draft. And I'm not going to put up with any of this talent, we don't have talent kind of bullshit. I mean, you look at the NFL every year, and teams with talent struggle, and teams that don't have talent come and surprise. I mean, look at the Cowboys. They have all the talent in the world on defense, and they let Jeff Driscoll go out there and throw for a ton of yards. The Eagles supposedly had a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball, but Nelson Aguilar went from a talented receiver to not being good overnight. Alshon Jeffrey's a big-time talent. He went, now he's a mediocre receiver. Talented players drop all the time. Baker Mayfield, he has a lot of talent. Well, what is he this year? He's not talented anymore. So it's a here and now kind of game. It's a here and now league. Xavier Rhodes, wow, what a talent, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. Now he can't cover a Colt. He can't cover Cortland Sutton. He can't cover anybody. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of just me unbearing my soul about the Giants a little bit. It's time for us as a fan base to, and I know a lot of you guys have kind of, rid with the team, have stayed with them, and but a lot of you are hoping to tank and kind of get to the draft, but then Dave Gettleman is going to be out, and I'm a Dave Gettleman guy. I think the Odell trade really helped the culture, and I'm ready to see the culture start taking shape, and I'm ready to beat Chicago. They're a beatable team. You beat Chicago, you're then going to be playing a Packers team that's probably going to lose a very close and emotional game to San Francisco. The Packers then head again from the West Coast to the East Coast. The Giants and their fans will be juiced if they beat the Chicago Bears. You'll get a decent home crowd, especially if they show energy, show that they love each other, and show heart. That's what I want to see. Heart, energy, toughness. That's what I really want to see when we go up and play Chicago. I want Mitchell Trubisky getting pressured, and this is a huge, huge game for the Giants to build their second half campaign. It's about winning. It's about good habits, and this is huge for Gettleman and Shermer. It's about winning, and I love that Shermer. I got to give him credit. I love how Shermer shut off the music before practice. I love it. It shows that he cares. It shows that he wants his players to lock in, and all that hokey kind of BS millennial stuff, he's getting it out of their systems. I love it. He's treating them tough, and I'm excited. I'm excited about this game on Sunday for the first time in a while. The bye week allowed me to recuperate my thoughts, and really, I don't trust John Mara to select the next great coach. I wanted Ben McAdoo out of there, and I got my wish. And I'm not going to be spoiled and hope that Shermer gets fired this year. Now, next year, maybe if they lose 40-0 to the Chicago Bears, it'll explain itself. And I believe over time, if the Giants lose to Chicago, they lose to the Packers, they go at Philly on Monday night and just absolutely get laughed off the field, then we're going to have those discussions. But I'm rooting for the Giants to actually figure it out. I'm rooting more for the players than the coach, and that's the key. Root for the players instead of the coach. Root for your football team. And the last couple of weeks, listening to guys like Cop Pizzle, listening to Jet Central vent about Adam Gase, that has really helped put good perspective in me and kind of helped me adapt my opinion. I'm not going to say like, Shermer's now going to win a Super Bowl. I'm not going to flip 360, but I'm realistically analyzing that it's not me making the decision. If it was me making the decision, I would try to get Matt Rule. I would be poking around and not really. I would keep Gettleman and I'd want Matt Rule or I'd want Kellen Moore. But it's not me making the decision. It's John Mara, a guy who loves to hold on to his head coaches, okay? So then getting another coach, you just might sink deeper and deeper. Let's enjoy who we have. If the team likes Shermer, that's kind of all that matters. So there you go. A long and lengthy video on the New York Giants here on a Friday. I hope you guys have some comments on it. Am I ridiculous? Am I a fraud? Am I a fraud to, kind of have this opinion now that you wanted Shermer gone and now you want him to stay? It's more about not that I want Shermer to stay, more that he will stay and more that Mara is the guy making the choice, not us. And then if Shermer ends up getting fired, This young core of guys that I love to get them and drafted, like Baker, Dexter Lawrence, Lorenzo Carter, Julian Love, Will Hernandez, Saquon Daniel Jones, Evan Ingram, this whole batch of young guys. It'll just be such a miserable existence for guys that I really care about and for the franchise that I care about. Winning these games is huge for the development of this team. Whoever is coaching down the road, winning and playing tough and playing competitive football, it can happen. Look at what Atlanta did after the bye week. They had an extra week to kind of rest and recharge. The Giants are gearing up for a second half run. I'm going to try to show some pride and love my football team. And I want to thank the people out there making the videos and listening. Kind of went on a longer rant than usual. Hope you guys take bits and pieces from it. And thank you guys for watching the show.